Hi guys! Welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new legal advice content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first one is titled, New Landlord Hates Privacy. I recently found myself needing a month-to-month lease for between 6 months to 14 months in Baltimore, which I was unfamiliar with. The apartment I found is a small efficiency in an older building. They agreed to a standard lease for the first 6 months, followed by month-to-month lease. I was to be the first tenant. When I toured it 6 weeks ago, workers were painting the rooms. The landlord's son is living upstairs, and this is my landlord's first time renting. The lease was obviously pulled from a form and seemed standard. There is a clause in the lease which states that I can't install curtains, rods or hooks. This seemed standard as well. I had similar at my old apartment. I assumed there would be some sort of curtain provided, and this was in regard to additional curtains. I moved in Sunday, and found the landlord had not installed curtains at all. At this point, I assumed the issue with curtains was the potential to damage to the wall. So, I bought tension rods that require no hardware and used them to hang curtains. Monday afternoon I got a text from my landlord saying I needed to remove the curtains. The building is on a street corner with a fair amount of foot traffic. Between the 4 windows, you can see all of my apartment with the exception of the portion of the bathroom with the toilet and tub. Not only does this mean I have no privacy, but the neighborhood is slightly sketchy after dark. The nearby buildings have bars on their windows. Anyone passing by not only can see my possessions, but whether or not I am home. I expressed this to the landlord in my reply over text. He replied to reread my lease. I left them up overnight. I had orientation this morning and came back to find the curtains removed and nowhere in the apartment. I discovered this before entering the building, as 2 guys were outside one of my windows and looking in my apartment. They left when I entered the building. I messaged the landlord saying he didn't have the right to enter the apartment and asked for the curtains back. He again said to check my lease and then commented that I needed to finish unpacking as it looked messy in my apartment. I had to head to a work event so I couldn't follow through more, but I moved my electronics to one corner and used a bookshelf to block one of the windows, so they weren't visible. While at the event, I got a text from the landlord with a picture of the blocked window, captioned, "What's this? What can I do to prevent my landlord from entering the apartment unannounced and to compel him to allow some form of curtain? Alternatively, how do I break my lease 3 days into it? This is too crazy for week 1. Update. It looks like I'm staying, but I took control of the situation." Not long after posting, it became apparent at work that the length of time I would be needed on this project is significantly lower than outside estimates originally said. Finding new arrangements seemed impossible. I mentioned what was going on at dinner, and included at the table was the company's lawyer, who I know, who offered to review the lease in an unofficial basis. Wednesday morning, I called police about the stolen curtains because I wanted a paper trail. They gave me a police report but were uninterested in speaking to my landlord. I reported the theft to my insurance, gave them the info on who stole them, texts from landlord, and they said they would be contacting someone in the city. It's only $200, but it's the point of the thing. I next bought room dividers, which in no way, shape or form can be considered curtains, blinds, etc. but block the windows while still letting in light. They were only $40 each. At the same time, I searched the whole apartment, vents, lights, etc. and can't find any cameras as someone suggested. By that time, my friend who is a lawyer called me. She did a little review of the lease and the local laws. She said Baltimore has really shaky laws on when a landlord can come in. But pointed out that in my lease there is a clause that says the landlord will notify 48 hours prior to entrance and will call prior to entering in case of emergency. She drafted me a letter to send to my landlord. Her name won't appear anywhere but said it can be on my company's letterhead. The letter details some of my rights as a tenant, quotes the lease and reminds him he is bound by these rules as well. I signed and sent it immediately. I had mentioned wanting a security camera, and my company is arranging to have a camera sent that will automatically upload video off-site, work for an hour battery life if the electricity is out and operates on cellular so it doesn't need Wi-Fi. It will be here tomorrow. I also made the decision to send my PS4 and my cameras back to my home. My personal and business laptops I will just keep with me while I am out of the apartment. This leaves the only real valuables as my TV and the security camera itself. Everything else is books, clothes, and kitchen things. I ordered a sign for outside that says the property is monitored by security cameras and got a jamb for the door that holds it closed while I am inside. I'm prepared for the landlord to make my life hell, but if he breaks the lease, my plan is to ask the company to move me into extended stay hotel for the duration of my trip. It will be more expensive for them, but that's company policy for trips less than 4 months. At the moment, I feel as safe as I can in this situation. Updates. Landlord texted me. Sweetie, I didn't think you'd be like this. The next one is titled, My landlord promised they could move into my room a few days before we agreed I would leave. Now he wants me to leave early, and I can't move into my new place at that time. Ontario. Edit. The landlord-tenant board said I am in the right since he agreed to me moving out on the 4th and I have proof. At the start of the month, I told my landlord I would be moving out and using my last month's rent. He said okay and I said I'd get back to him on the exact date. I settled on the 4th of September, so I had time to clean and he said okay. I haven't told him I moved it up to the 1st and 2nd because of Labor Day and school starting for me on the 4th, but I did. I have a van rented for that weekend and everything. This morning I woke up to a text saying that the person taking my room needs it September 1st and I need to be out August 31st. This isn't possible. My new place said I can move some stuff in early but not move in early entirely. I have the texts from him saying the 4th is fine as proof. I replied and told him I was moving on the 1st and 2nd but couldn't move before that. It's a month-by-month lease, the house is rented by the room. There is an empty room, but that girl is coming back the weekend I move. What can I do? Edit. He said by August 31st, so I'd need to be out on the 30th actually. Update. Landlord screwed up again. So, a quick update to that, since I'm all settled in at my new place. So, the new guy spent the night at hotel and I got a text saying he would be moving stuff in on the 2nd while I was still moving out. I didn't argue this because I felt bad for the guy. It turns out he's friends with my one roommate that goes away every summer, and she didn't think to tell me it was him. Either way they blame the landlord for this and not me. But the new guy came to the house after I moved all my furniture out, and upon seeing the room asked where the furniture is. Apparently, the landlord forgot I had the only unfurnished room in the house and said it was furnished. That was on the 2nd, and as of right now, the 5th, he only has a bed. So, he might be looking for another place, which is understandable. For those of you saying the landlord could sue me if the new guy doesn't take the place, it's pretty clear now that it's 100% not my fault this is happening. The next one is titled, Neighbor kid got bit by stray cat that hangs out in our backyard and had to get rabies shots. Parents want us to pay. Pennsylvania. So, me and my boyfriend live together in a row home. There's a narrow alley in back that runs down the length of our street, and like most alleys in this neighborhood, there are stray cats that hang out there. Our block has one cat in particular that I'm pretty sure is feral because it has a clipped ear and starts hissing as soon as it sees a human. It likes to sun itself on our patio table. We see it in our yard most days, but we never feed it or put out bedding or toys for it or anything like that. Last week, our next door neighbor knocked and told me that the cat had been in her yard and it bit her son. She wanted to know if it had its rabies shot. I told her that I didn't know because it was a stray. The clipped ear usually means it had a shot at some point, but I think they need boosters after a while. She got kind of upset and asked why we were letting a cat that might have rabies hang out on our property. We should have called animal control or trapped the cat and turned it into the Animal Welfare Society. I wasn't really sure how to respond at the moment, so I said something like, "Oh, yeah, maybe someone should do that," and pretended someone was calling me. Yesterday, both of the kids' parents came to the door. The husband told me that their son had to get a bunch of shots to prevent rabies and it was expensive, and that they felt that my boyfriend and I needed to reimburse them for it. They said he still needs one more shot next week, and they'd bring us the final bill then. I said again that it's not our cat, but he said that we had accepted responsibility for it by letting it stay on our property. I pointed out that it's not like the cat lives exclusively in our yard. I see it in other people's yards and under their cars and stuff all the time. He said, "I'm not here to argue. You know what you need to do. We'll drop the bill off sometime next week," and left. Are we actually responsible for this stupid cat? I could maybe see their point if we're doing stuff to attract it, but like I said, we're not. Unless you count having a patio table as a cat magnet. It's true that we haven't done anything to get rid of it, but then, it seems nobody else has either. I don't see how we would have any more responsibility to control it than the rest of the neighbors, although I'm not an expert in cat law. Do we need to pay them for the rabies shots? Are we legally required to call animal control for strays, or to somehow get rid of them? Update. So, the mom brought over a hospital bill the next week, like they said they would. I refused to take it based on the advice I got here. She wasn't happy about it, but she took it better than I expected, and I thought maybe that would be the end of it. Then, 2 days ago, we got a letter from a lawyer's office saying we have to pay the neighbors $2,200 and some change, or they'll sue us. I googled the name on the letterhead and they're a real law firm, but they're located in a town almost an hour away from Philly, which to me seems weird because there's tons of law offices more local. Also weird is that the letter says the kid was bitten by a dog rather than a cat. We don't have a dog either. At first, we thought they had hired the most inattentive lawyer of all time and it was just a mistake, but then I started thinking about how people on the first thread were saying that cat bites usually don't require rabies shots, and animal control would have come to quarantine the cat until they were sure it didn't have rabies if they were concerned about it. Now I'm starting to wonder if maybe they really are trying to run some type of scam. Luckily, my dad has a friend, regular customer who's a lawyer, and he said he would help us write a response letter. He said that based on what my dad told him, it doesn't sound like they have much of a case, but we're going to meet him for dinner at my parents' house Sunday and explain the whole story to him then. If anything else noteworthy happens, I'll provide another update. The last one is titled, "Garage door in the house I'm renting failed and fell on my car. Is the owner responsible for repairs?" Back on the 22nd of June I was putting my vehicle into the garage of the home I am renting in Virginia, and the door snapped down on top of it with enough force to make the car jolt. I got out, looked at it, and seeing the truck was pinned called the management company. The door would not operate, so they said to pull the disconnect cord and lift the door manually, so I did. Top of my truck is all scratched to hell and needs repair. It's 99% on the spoiler, Jeep Grand Cherokee, so you can visualize, so it should be a relatively minor issue. So, I've been dealing with the management company who had Sears Garage Door Company come out. The tech said, and I quote, "This door worked? When? I've thrown out better looking systems, I'm not surprised this failed." So, the owners are now replacing the door plus opener. Awesome. The owners said they didn't or couldn't file through their homeowner's insurance, and asked if I had comprehensive auto. I do, and what my deductible is, $500. I replied that I did, with the $500 deductible, and I'm perfectly happy going that route if they cover my deductible. Today I get word from the management company that, we don't feel we should pay his deductible. This could have been me, my wife, my dogs, or my nieces and nephews under that door and got crushed. I consider myself lucky it was just a car, and even luckier it is really cosmetic damage. Still, I want this fixed, and I don't feel like I should be out the $500 deductible when I really should be filing through their homeowner's insurance. I was willing to use my comprehensive auto to save the owner's rates from going up, but if they're not going to cover the $500 then I kind of don't care about their rates. I should note I'm only staying here another 18 months at most, so, saving the relationship isn't a huge issue. Anyone have any experience here? I could use some advice or thoughts. Update. Originally the owners stated they couldn't use their homeowner's insurance to pay for my repairs, which was determined to be a lie. I finally got the insurance company, same company I have, from the rental management company. I called, left a series of messages for their adjuster over 3 weeks and got ignored. Finally, I called my auto adjuster, same company, again, and laid out the whole scenario. Thankfully, she had a friend in the property insurance side of the house. She conferenced him into the call and he was able to look up the owner's claim to repair their garage door. He was also able to see that they are allowed to submit claims for damage to others' property and that I just needed to provide an estimate for my vehicle's damage. So, I got an estimate from a local dealership, $460, so a bit less than my deductible, as they were able to replace the parts, and uploaded it same day. Magically I got a call back from the property adjuster I had left 3 messages for, asking how I'd like my payment. A few days later, my truck was fixed, and I had a check in hand for the costs. Too easy. Thanks for listening.